You're listening to WIFO-FM in Jesup. Big Dog Country Radio, 105.5 FM. It is now time for the world-famous Butch and Bob Show, and is brought to you by First Southern Bank, Van's Barbecue, Murphy Builder Supply, and O'Quinn & Associates.
Hi, I'm Mandy Yeomans.
And I'm Raymond Brown with First Southern Bank. As your locally owned community bank, we're here to help our community grow. Our customers are why we are here. You can tell we want your business.
We offer all types of deposit products, personal and business. We have fast, efficient service, and yes, we have online banking too. I'm sure we have an account to fit your needs. Stop by or call us at 912-588-1010 and see how First Southern Bank can help you.
We're FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
When it comes to barbecue, Van's Barbecue in Jesup is the place to be. A small family-owned business located at 1876 on the Savannah Highway. Van's Barbecue has lunch and dinner specials. Stop by or call to make an order. The number to call, 427-3358. Van's Barbecue's new manager is Sarah Van. Van's Barbecue offers potato salad, coleslaw, baked beans, and don't forget their delicious mac and cheese. Also, check out their shrimp plates, the best in town. Yes, when it comes to barbecue, head to Van's Barbecue, locally owned and operated. Stop by and tell them the Big Dog sent you. Once again, the number to order, 427-3358.
Since 1946, Murphy's Builder Supply has been serving the folks of Jesup, Wayne, and surrounding counties with quality products and knowledgeable service. Matter of fact, they feel they sell service first to make sure you get exactly what you need for your home improvement projects. And with each employee at Murphy's being there for 10 years or more, you know you're talking with someone with the experience to help you with building supplies, tools, paint, and all the things you need from a full-service hardware store. The best choice in home improvement is Murphy's Builder Supply, 156 Northeast Broad Street, Jesup.
Are you looking for an insurance company that you can call and talk to a live person? Are you looking for an insurance company where you can walk in and talk to an agent? Are you looking for an insurance company that offers multiple companies so they can try and get you the best rate? If you said yes to any of these, then you need to call or come by O'Quinn & Associates Insurance Financial Services. We offer multiple companies so we can find the best fit for you. Give us a call at 385-1000 or stop by our office at 212 South Fair Street right here in Jesup.
The following is an exclusive presentation of Jesup Broadcasting, the sports leader in Southeast Georgia.
World famous. The world famous Butch and Bob Show.
World famous Butch and Bob Show right here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup, Big Dog Country Radio. And Bob, this is the day that all us dog fans have been waiting for.
It's going to be fun winning back-to-back national championships, taking on the TCU Horned Frogs. And we got in the studio Joe Ierardi, whose daughter went to TCU, and Joe's been to several TCU games and follows the Horned Frogs pretty well. So who better to tell us about the Horned Frogs than Joe Ierardi?
Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
We're doing good.
The first question everybody asked me, they said, Joe went to Georgia. He's pulling for the Dogs.
Why, of course.
Of course he's pulling for the Dogs.
I'm an alumnus of the University of Georgia. Gina's an alumnus of the University of Georgia, and Alex is an alumnus of TCU. So I don't understand what the difference is. Just because she went there doesn't mean,
That's what I told people. I said, just because his daughter graduated doesn't mean he's on
if she was still with the marching band and doing that, then I'll be honest with you, I would probably be a little bit torn. I might admit I was going to root for TCU and probably really not be, but
it's the same thing when both of my sons went to Georgia Southern, and Georgia played them back during that time period, and I always pull for Southern, of course, except when they're playing Georgia. Right. I'm always going to pull for the Dogs over anyone.
Well, it's funny because when we told her, she was like insulted that we weren't going to pull for TCU, and I said, well, why aren't you pulling for Georgia? And she looked at me. I said, really? If we're supposed to pull for you, then you're supposed to pull. We are your parents, And so that kind of shut that down.
Well, but like I said, you've been to several of the games. You know this team. I've been watching all the talking heads. This TCU story is an amazing story. Sonny Dykes in his first year is taking his team to national champion. The only person that ever done that was Gus Malzahn when he was at Auburn. But no one's picked TCU, even in their conference. They have media day at the beginning of the season. They picked them 7th in the conference. But watching them all season long, they would be losing in the third quarter, but they'd always find a way to come back. Their quarterback's one of those gutsy kids, kind of like Stetson, Max Duggan. Tell us a little bit about this kid.
It's funny because this is the 6th season that I've actually seen them live in a row. And so one of the things, and you and I went back in, I think it was 2018 or 19, I think it was 18, my sophomore year, we went out there. And one of the things every year they had at the skill position and in the secondary, they had tremendous speed. But the problem was they never really had a quarterback who can get, especially on offense, get them the ball. And they've got 3 wide receivers who can absolutely fly, that can go get it. And they've got a guy who can get them the football. And I think that's been the biggest improvement on offense. And Duggan's been there a while. He's a senior, and he wasn't the starter at the beginning of the year. He lost the starting job to, I think it was Chandler Morris, who was a transfer from Oklahoma. And Morris got hurt in the second quarter of the first game. And then Duggan came in, and then the rest is history. And he's tough now. I mean, he'll lower the shoulder. I mean, he's gritty.
Well, that's the big matchup. Their offense against our defense. Since our defense has been exposed the last 2 games in the SEC championship game. LSU put up a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns, and Mr. C.J. Stroud with Ohio State did the same thing. And the thing that scares Georgia fans going in this game is Duggan is like Stroud. He's going to use his legs to make big plays. He has design plays. I saw where Georgia's going to have a linebacker try to spy on him, try to maintain him in that pocket, because Georgia feels if he stays in the pocket, they got a good chance. But edge means they got good receivers. The one guy that scares Kirby Smart, listen to this, Kirby at the press conference, is their punt returner. Tell us about the punt returner
Darius
guy.
Davis. He's returned, I think, in his career 7 punts for touchdowns and 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown. And half the time they don't even kick it to him. And he almost broke one against Michigan. He's a guy. He also plays wide receiver. He's explosive. Their best receiver is number 1, Quentin Johnson. He's the guy that Aaron Rodgers, word got out that Aaron Rodgers said that's the guy he wanted them to draft. He didn't care what they had to do. They would move up in the draft, that he wanted Johnson. He goes about 6'4", 220 pounds, and can fly. So they've got playmakers. But the one key, I think, tonight is TCU starting running back, Kendre Miller, who rushed for like 1,400 yards and like 17 touchdowns. I think from what Alex was telling me, he's probably not going to play, and that's a big blow because he's not only their best running back, and he's a really, really good running back, but he allows Duggan to be able to move out of the pocket and be able to make, because they can't just, like you said, spy, because you got a talented tailback like Miller.
Did he get injured?
He got injured against Michigan. He sprained his knee ligament in the second quarter, and he tried. They gave him the ball in the first play of the third quarter, and he couldn't go. And they said he's been trying to practice, and he's going to try to go before the game. That's going to be an enormous blow, because that whole scheme of being able to read option and move the football and run, with Duggan, is going to be hampered.
Yeah, Georgia's hoping to get Darnell Washington back, the big tight end, but they say he may not go. But Kirby says he wants to go because he's from that Las Vegas area, and his first time he's been back out in that area. So, but it's interesting. Tell us about our TCU defense. How are they going to be able to stop the Dogs' offense?
They're going to play that what they call 3-3-5 and take advantage of their speed. They're going to be real quick in the secondary. Latavius Hodges Tomlinson, LaDainian Tomlinson's nephew, he was, I think, the Thorpe Award winner for the nation's best corner, and they've got a couple of linebackers, D. Winters and Johnny Hodges. These guys can run. So what TCU does, they play 3-down linemen, and then they fly try to run to the football. Getting back to, everyone talks about why they were picked 7th in the Big 12, and why this is such an incredible story. Well, not only do they have a new coach, but a lot of folks don't realize TCU's best offensive and defensive player from the 21 season went into the transfer portal and left.
Wow.
Right, and left.
That's what Sonny Dykes was saying. He said it was crazy. This year, he says, I'm trying to get ready for the national championship game, and I got 5 transfer porters on campus that I'm trying to recruit. He said last year they were all leaving. So it's totally different. Well, it was interesting to listen to Holly Rowe last night. She's been to both practices. She's talking about how different the practices are, how Georgia's an intense practice. Kirby's on the microphone yelling, screaming at everybody, telling her what to do. And then with the TCU's practice, they got the stereo blaring, they're playing music, they're out there dancing. All the pressure is definitely on Georgia. TCU's going to come in here, just guns a-blazing. They got nothing to lose, everything to gain, and no one's giving them much of a chance. So that's the thing that kind of scares you a little bit. It's a Cinderella story for TCU as much as it is for Georgia.
It's a wonderful thing. It's a team that totally overachieved. and I may be biased being a Georgia alumnus, and I'm already getting text messages from my daughter, blasting me right now. But so your internet's working, Butch. The internet feed is working this morning.
She's out in Texas.
She's
right?
out in Dallas, just blasting me right now.
Yeah, she's listening right now.
Yeah, she's listening, blasting me. Right now. But
we do stream our show in the morning from 6 to 9 down
you
our
took her
website,
to the Fiesta Bowl,
bigdogcountry.com.
man. She should be happy. How was the trip to Fiesta Bowl, Tempe, Arizona?
It was fantastic. We had a wonderful time. The fact that they won made it even better. But we really had a fantastic time. It was a great game to go see, a nail biter. But that game I think is going to be emblematic of what happens tonight. If you notice in the first half, TCU's defense was fantastic. I mean, they gave up the big run, but they gave up 6 points.
They got the pick 6 too.
Right, they got tired in the second half, and that's what you're going to see. The depth and the amount of players it's going to be. You watch every third play. TCU may sub one guy. Georgia's going to sub 3, 4, 5 guys. You're going to see that, and I think that's where you're going to see two programs that are very, very different in a lot of ways. But I think you're going to see, from a depth perspective and a developmental point, you're going to see that's where I think it's really going to pay off for Georgia.
I'm curious, how was Brad's Christmas? I told my sister that story. That was the funniest story to me every holidays. All these last several weeks of the season, Alex is telling you, Daddy, they're going to the playoffs, and you're going, no, they're going to lose a game. They're not going to make it to the playoffs. And you told her like 3 weeks ago, look, Alex, if they get to the playoffs, we'll go. We'll make it a family trip. Right. And then they made the playoffs, and you call Brad and say, Brad, the Christmas present is a ticket to Tempe, Arizona. That's it. Don't ask for anything else.
Right, you're not getting nothing else.
How was Brad's Christmas?
He goes, well, that in typical Brad fashion, well, that will be fun, but I really didn't have a say in this. I might have wanted a few things for Christmas. I said, too bad.
Too bad. So the trip to Tempe was fun.
Yeah, it was great. It was nice to have.
Seats.
Yeah, we had
looked like a nice stadium.
Yeah, it was a nice stadium. It was nice. When you have one that lives in Nashville and one lives in Dallas, and you can get them all together and go do something together. It's always great.
All right.
So your daughter still lives in Dallas?
She does. She lives.
She graduated from TC, which is in Dallas. Is that right? And she stayed there afterwards.
And she stayed. She actually lives in Plano. She works for a marketing and advertising firm in the Dallas area. And so she's out there, and they're an hour behind us. So I'm sure, hopefully, you're getting ready for work, Alex, and not listening to
the Bob show. Maybe she's driving to work.
But
Brad went back today, right? Brad was home for the holidays.
He's headed back to Nashville as we speak. But I'm looking forward to the game. It's kind of cool. There hasn't been a whole lot of trash talking at our house yet. I'm sure this was the beginning of the banter that's going to go back into. But I think it'll be a good game. I think you'll see in the second half. I think you'll see Georgia kind of flex its muscles.
Well, I'm hoping, like I said, TCU historically this year gotten off to a slow start, so I'm hoping Georgia can get off to a quick start, get comfortable, control the game early, and then just go from there. But the only thing that scares me is that secondary has been exposed, and Duggan has shown he can throw the deep ball. And like you mentioned, they got good receivers and can go get it as well. They're talking about their best receiver against Ringo. Again, it's going to be one of the best matchups at the game. So
that's probably what Kirby's all upset about is the number of points that have been scored against us the last 2 games. Trying to get that defense in order because you're playing another high-powered offensive team.
Kirby and Muschamp are defensive guys, so they're the ones that are
the big play is the Miller. If he can't play tonight at tailback and they have to go to Amari DeMarcado, who's a good back, but he's not Miller. That changes that offense. I'm telling you, it changes everything because this guy is a legit threat to run between the tackles or get out the outside and run by you. I mean, he's a potential first-round pick. And you'll see tonight, too, in the age of players leaving early, TCU has a ton of fifth-year seniors. Matter of fact, I think 4 of their 5 offensive linemen, are fifth-year seniors. That means a lot. These guys that played a lot of games.
Well, at least the winner of tonight's game, one of the Heisman finalists is going to win a game. Like I said, C.J. Stroud lost and Caleb Williams lost. So either Duggan or Bennett's going to walk away with the championship, and at least somebody that was in New York is going to win a game because they haven't won one yet. But I said it's going to be fun to watch. Okay, the coverage starts early. Again, it's been fun to watch the press conferences between Kirby and Sonny Dykes. But Sonny Dykes does seem real loose, confident that he can pull this off. So it's going to be fun to watch.
That's his, they from what I've been told, that's kind of their mentality. That's kind of his mentality. Real relaxed. And if you remember, don't take his being relaxed for not of attention to detail. I'm going to go back to the Baylor game when they ran the ball and they had no timeouts and everybody was wondering what they would do on fourth down. And the field goal team was ready. They ran out on the field. They got set. And they practice that every Thursday. So there's a relaxed atmosphere, but there's that play told me a lot. That play against Baylor.
That was an amazing play because, like I said, the time's running down and they can even get it
totally
off.
Calm.
Yeah, got it off.
They practice it enough.
They practice it every Thursday, is what they said on that. And
what time is kickoff tonight?
7:45, I think, is actual kickoff. I think
7:30 kicks in, but this kicks off
7:45. I think 7:45 is the actual kickoff. And it's kind of funny because the state of Texas is very proud, as you know, about their football, whether it be high school, college, Cowboys, professional football. And what's really, really bothering the University of Texas is that TCU was not only the first Big 12 team to win a college football playoff team, but they're the first team from Texas to win a college football playoff game. And the folks down in Austin don't like that too much.
I'm sure they don't.
So I think that's kind of sticking with him a little bit. But I think, what do you guys think? I think Georgia's clearly better.
Dogs and the frogs.
We're the ones with the heritage. We got the 4- and 5-star, players each year. If we go out there and play our game, don't make mistakes, don't turn the ball over, reduce the penalties down to a minimum, and especially in key situations. And then, as you said, as the game goes on, you'll see that a lot of times when you've got an upstart team that does real good that first half, but that second half they start slowing down because they don't have the depth. Georgia should win.
Yeah.
But they've got to play their game.
Right. It's just like the TCU Michigan. No one gave TCU a chance against Michigan, and look what they did. So it all depends on how the game starts. As long as the longer we let TCU hang around, the more dangerous they become.
And I think we got more speed in Michigan.
I do. I think one of the things you're going to see is people don't realize is there's probably minimum 5 guys that you're going to see on that front line from TCU that'll be playing. D. Winters will be playing in the NFL. Kendre Miller, Quentin Johnson, Hodges Tomlinson will be in the NFL. Darius Davis might be as a punt returner. Duggan. I mean, there's going to be legit 5-6 guys that I'm not saying they're going to be first, but are going to play on Sundays that you're going to see in the NFL. The problem is when D. Winters needs a break, that talent level just drops off.
Yeah, a lot of talking heads have said if Georgia had the defense they had last year, this wouldn't even be you wouldn't even be talking about maybe a close game or maybe an upset if we had the defense we had last year. But we still have a great defense. They haven't lost a game yet. It's just the last 2 weeks. Hopefully Kirby is taking a look and say, well, how have they been exploiting us and trying to correct those mistakes?
You got a score. I gave my score. I don't think it's going to
What'd you give? What was your score?
I think 35-17.
35-17 is what Bob said this morning.
Yeah, I think that's pretty close. I would have said if I had to guess, I'm going to be a little bit nice. I'm going to say 35-24, 35-21, somewhere in there. I think TCU scores early, but I think Georgia shuts them down the second half.
Just, I keep thinking about Stetson if he pulls this off, the legacy he's going to leave. Walk-on quarterback.
It's already there.
The back-to-back national. Yes, Tebow said it best. He said his legacy is pretty much cemented, but
still, 28-3.
It is there. If they lose this game, it's going to be just a bad ending. I mean, the movie's already being written, the book's being written.
Regardless of what happens.
I'm looking forward.
So who's going to play Stetson? I heard that on one of the talking shows this weekend. If you had this movie, it's going to be played for made by Netflix or whoever it may be. Who would play Stetson? Who's going to be that actor in his early to mid-20s?
I got the actor, the guy that played the young Spider-Man. What's his name? He kind of looks like Stetson.
Which Spider-Man?
The young guy that played Spider-Man.
They were all young when they played.
I can't think of the guy's name. He kind of looks like Stetson.
Okay.
That's who I'm picking.
Okay.
To play the role.
It's got to be somebody in their mid-20s.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know how old he is, but he's young.
He's 28-3 as a starting quarterback.
Yeah,
playing against the best competition in the country. That's pretty
SEC,
good.
Yeah.
It's just pretty good. Actually, it's just an amazing. Like I said, they were laughing last night on the studio panel. Tebow and him said, Georgia tried to give to anybody else. It's like, who else can play quarterback?
Right.
Nobody else would step up.
Nobody
else would step up.
No.
But what they don't understand is Stetson, he may not be the greatest athlete out there, but as far as quarterback,
I'm tired of hearing that nonsense.
Well, I'm talking about he can run pretty fast, but they talk about his arm strength. His arm strength looks pretty good to me, but the thing that he has is the ability to read those defenses and get everybody lined up in the right play.
But he makes big plays when they're needed.
Yeah.
I mean that last drive in the Peach Bowl. I mean, he threw 3 passes that were absolutely fantastic at the most important point of the most important game of the season. I mean, I don't care if you can run 4-2, 8-2, and throw the ball 100 yards or 10 yards. When you do stuff like that,
that game even convinced Paul Feinbaum finally got on board. I mean, that Monday after he won the game against Ohio State, he finally said, "Look, anybody who doubts this kid just needs to shut up. It's over with." I mean, he's already proven he could do. Like you said, because that drive, I mean, Georgia had to have those 2 drives, those 2 touchdowns, and he delivered again. So
that's a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And
I just think it's going to be a great story. Georgia wins back-to-back. First time, Alabama fans are the ones that are upset because they don't like the fact that Georgia's going to be the first team in the college football playoffs to win back-to-back championships. It's going to be interesting what all Alabama players are leaving.
Well, three of them are going to TCU. TCU got last week, Alex sent me an article. They got a lineman, a receiver, and a running back that are from Texas that went to Alabama, that entered the portal, that are going to TCU.
I'm talking about their star players. Bryce Young's going to the draft. Anderson's going to the draft. Gibbs is going to the draft. So they got a lot. Apparently they had the number 1 recruiting class again.
So you feeling kind of bad for Nick?
No, it's just going to be interesting to see what Alabama,
what Saban does.
I mean, I don't ever count Saban out. I mean, Saban, but it's things have changed there. Like I said, Kirby. I tell people Kirby stayed long enough under Saban. He took every note, and he stayed there. He went with him to LSU. He went with them
along
Miami.
with their conditioning coach too. He took.
Kirby's got the playbook, and Kirby's taken everything he learned from Saban to Georgia and implemented it, and they're having success at Alabama.
But we have to be mindful now. College football has totally changed. College athletics has changed. It's going to be interesting to see how coaches like Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney, that are used to winning, where you stockpile recruits, and a lot of them won't leave because they have to sit out a year. Now, if they feel like they're not playing, they're just going to jump ship, and that's going to create where you had all that depth and you just stockpile talent when no one else can have it.
Right.
That's going to change things. So it's going to be real interesting to see how coaches change with the times.
Will the younger coaches do better since they're not as stuck in their ways?
Well,
or what?
You have to be open-minded to going into this portal because Georgia was an anomaly last year. They were able to keep everybody and do that, and that's going to happen, but that's not going to be the norm. That's going to be the exception to the rule. And look at Clemson. Dabo Swinney said, "I'm not going into the portal. I'm not doing this. I'm going to get my guys. I'm going to stick with my guys, and I'm going to roll with it." And ever since he made that statement, Clemson was in the playoff every year. They were right there. Well, guess what? They've been nowhere to be found the last 2 years.
But the biggest point that was made, you're going to see more and more college coaches opt to go to the NFL because they don't want to deal with the NIL. They don't want to deal with the portal. They don't want to deal with the. It's just a tough.
Could you imagine getting ready for a bowl game?
A lot of these college coaches that are having success are going to look to jump to the NFL, so they don't have to deal with all that stuff.
Well, think about teams playing in the playoff, and it's going to get bigger when you go to 12 teams. In the month of December, the transfer portal opens. You got to worry about the transfer portal. You have to worry about recruiting, and you have to worry about getting ready for a playoff game. That's a lot to put on a coaching staff.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob, we found someone texted in the actors you're talking about that play Spider-Man, and he does look like Stetson.
Yeah, he looks a little bit like
Thomas Stanley Holland.
Yeah, that's him.
That's him.
Yep.
Right there, the one that played last guy that played Spider-Man in Holland. There, he's a British actor, but he can do a good American actor.
That's who I thought
he
about.
He does look like Stetson. He would be a great one to play Stetson.
I'm telling you. Bob Morgan got the movie already
got
out.
the movie ready to go. Yeah. I just want the copyright for the book. That's all.
What's going to be your? Are you going to be in the movie, Bob?
No, I'm not going to be in the movie. But it's just amazing.
Who would play Bob?
I'm telling you,
Bob Morgan as himself. I just
the microphone. I just go back to a year ago. At this time, I was telling him, because I told him when I saw him, I said, "Man, why would you come back? I mean, just walk off in the sunset. You're national champion. All these people criticizing you and taking shots at you." He said. And his comment was, "I just love playing football." But really, I think it's that NIL opened up a lot of doors for him. I mean, luckily the man's taking advantage of all that. I understand he's got millions in the bank.
He deserves everything that's come to him.
It's been a great story. But I just think about Munson. I used to always call the hometown like Lindsay's got a chance. I wish Munson was making these calls. That'd be great to see. But it's going to be a great story. I think it's going to be a storybook ending. I think he's going to get the back-to-back national champions, and Dogs will roll. And Kirby's got another good recruiting class coming in. Some say the Georgia Bulldogs going to be better next year than they were this year. This is going to be that's scary thought.
That's a good thought.
That's a good thought. Yeah, they got the young team. Joe, I always appreciate you coming in.
Johnny,
Alex, I hope we didn't hurt your feelings too bad.
We're so sorry. Yeah, right. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
All right, y'all have a good day. Thanks for coming in, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, the world famous Butch and Bob Show right here on WIFO, brought to you by First Southern Bank, by Van's Barbecue, Murphy Builder Supply, and O'Quinn & Associates.